Welcome back, everybody. What we're watching, episode 7. Every single time we start this, 8,
So,
7,
so
8. Every single time I start this, I do the notes. I'm like, you got to write down the episode number. It's the next episode after the last episode,
yeah, it was before the next one.
and before the next episode. But we are on the last third today. We're going to be talking about the last third of season 2, the meat of season 2, where a lot of stuff goes down. And again, we talked about it with season 1. David Chase, I feel so far, we're 2 for 2. I don't know how the rest of them, but we're 2 for 2. He's like, look, if this were a network show, I would have saved this for either the last season or the next to last season. He's like, nope, we're going all out again, just like we did the first season.
Throw it all in there, just in case.
Just throw it all in there. But I am Joey. I need to introduce us. This is a professional show, folks. I'm Joey Harris, and joining me is Big TJ, the guy who has a standing reservation at the corner table at Artie Bucco's restaurant.
Yeah, that's
in the corner.
Vesuvio 2.
Yes.
The new Vesuvio. Yeah, man, I do have a standing reservation at New Vesuvio, man. They always have my calamari and my my Medigoat on deck, man. They got it ready, you know. And you know, I'm like Michael Scott. I go and I ask for the gabagool, and they have no idea what I'm talking about.
I thought you were going to be like Janice. I made your ricotta pie. Just trying to get my daughter into college.
That's it.
There you go.
That's it. Take the pie. I want it. You're going to do this for me.
What? No. And she's like, she's like, Carmella's like, what? No
threat. No threat. You're going to write, but you're going to write the letter.
Do it.
You're going to do it because I want it.
And I need a copy. I need
a copy of it. I want to know that you did it. Don't just tell me you did it. Where's the copy at? I need to see the proof. Don't just tell me.
Oh, goodness. Did you ever see any reruns? Because it had to be all reruns because it was over before either you and I were born, of the Flip Wilson show.
Yeah.
Geraldine in the booth in the back in the corner in the dark. That's where, because I'd have to go. But that's where right. I want mine. I don't put me up front.
No.
I will nod politely at Tony Soprano and crew, but I will keep on going. I'm in the back, fellas.
That's it.
You need something, I'm back there.
I'm back there in the way back. It's all good.
Yeah. But before we start, we talked about it yesterday. Shouts out to Paul Herman, who played Beansy, passed away a couple of weeks ago, probably right around the time we were recording our last episode. So shouts out to him. And folks, if you're into Sopranos now or Goodfellas or anything other than the stuff that he's been on, Michael Imperioli's Instagram is really good to follow or at least keep up with. You can Google it. And he brings up, and he's very good about letting people know how people are doing or something new somebody's in. He's very good about that. So shouts out
Christopher. He cleaned my rain gutters one year. He's a good kid.
But that
I love Livia, man. I can't get enough of her, bro.
I've got some Livia notes for us this time. Livia and Livia Part 2. Because make no mistake about it, Livia knows what she is doing at all times.
All times.
Tony was right when he said, look at her. She's smiling.
She's smiling.
She knows exactly what she's doing.
Big time fact. She knows exactly what's going on. No, look, let's get into it. Let's chop it up.
So we're starting out with Bust Out, the 10th episode of season 2 of The Sopranos, 23rd overall episode of the series, written by Frank Renzulli, Robin Green, and Mitchell Burgess, directed by John Patterson, and originally aired on March the 19th, 2000. The police locate a witness who identifies Tony as one of the men who murdered Matt. Now, they say that there were two men, but they definitely have Tony. Tony panics when word of the case reaches him, and he makes plans to flee until the witness can be identified and dealt with. He gives a sports bag full of cash to his lawyer, Neil Mink, to provide for his family. Look, when my wife comes, whatever she asks for, you just hand it over. It's $400,000.
If she wants it all at once, give it to her. If she
wants it all at once, give it to her.
She won't.
Yeah.
But if she does.
He's like, because she knows.
Yeah.
She knows. Yeah. Luckily for Tony, the witnesses realizes that the murder relates to the mafia and urgently contacts the police to retract his statement.
Oh no!
Like just in the middle of the night, like aren't they going through the paper or something? They're like, "Did you know this?" I thought for a second there, Christopher was gonna knock on the door. Your dog is missing.
Right. My dog's been dead for weeks. Oh yeah. See. And you joke about that, but I mean that's how we're strong arming people nowadays, man. We just going, hey man, I think your dog might be missing. No, my dog's in my grandma's house. You sure? Golden Retriever, about 2 years old, supposed to be in Florida. It's in my back seat.
Not a fan of that coach as a person, but I did feel for him at that moment. My dog is upstairs.
The thing about it is, at that moment, we didn't know that the coach was a piece of shit. We didn't know that then, because once we knew, we're like, yo, y'all should have did a whole lot more stuff to this guy. But
the dog,
keep the dog, right? But no, at that point, we didn't know. My dog was upstairs. You sure? Golden Retriever, it's in my back seat.
Oh, goodness. So Tony and Richie squeeze money out of Davy's store. So Davy's stealing hock to both Tony and Richie, buying expensive merchandise on the store's credit and selling it on the street. They inform Davy the squeeze will continue unless he is able to pay back his gambling debts, which we know he will not be able to.
Never, ever.
Davy becomes desperate to the point of becoming suicidal. Later, Carmella has lunch at Vesuvio with Davy's wife, who expresses concern about his gambling. Unhappy with the cut he's getting from Davy's store and the deal he has with the Soprano family sanitation business, Richie approaches Junior with the idea of eliminating Tony. When Junior admonishes him, Tony reminds him of Junior's plan to kill Tony the previous year. Now, this is what I said I'd have to bring you on, even if you and I were not doing this show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is all egged on by Janice. She's talking him up big time. Now, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. I have, since I became aware of such things, I matured later in life. I have no qualms about saying that. I have never been one to kink shame.
Okay.
Whatever you do, as long as both people can consent and are able to consent. Right. You do you, boo.
That's it.
That being said, we see a shot of Richie and Janice on the couch. Richie's behind Janice. They're going at it, having a lot of fun until the camera pans over.
Right.
And we see that Richie is holding a pistol to Janice's head.
Right.
Knowing who Richie is at this point, you know that pistol has at least one bullet in it.
Oh, it's fully loaded, bro.
I was giving him at least a little bit of the benefit.
No, it's fully loaded. If it were possible to have extra bullets, it's got that too.
He's holding it in his other hand.
He's holding it in his other hand.
I can reload quick.
I can reload quick.
And she is all in. She is.
Oh, yeah.
You should be the boss and stuff. Yeah. And he's like, what are you? Now, like I said, not one to kink shame, but I'm like, look, if you're into this, before we get started, let's explore some different possibilities. I'd put everything out on the table. Let's see what else turns you on.
Okay.
just to get that gun away from my head, because I'm like, what if she's like, shoot me? you know, in the heat of the moment.
Shoot me, you bastard. That's not what you want.
No, that is not.
Oh my god. Not when you have such a heavily loaded gun next to
Or
your head, bro.
he gets excited, accidentally pulls the trigger.
And that's the thing. That's where I was at, bro. Because I'm sitting there like, look, because I'm like you. I'm not gonna kink shame. As long as you two consenting adults, you live your best life. You're not hurting you or somebody else. Live your best life. Some people like crazy stuff, and I say crazy because it's crazy to me.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not passing judgment because I don't want anybody to pass judgment on me. But that one right there, though, like I have a difficult time with it because when the man reaches climax, things just kind of go haywire for a second, So if he's holding the trigger and it comes time to shoot, literally, he might actually shoot, bro. Like it's not, yeah, and that's a revolver, bro. There's no safety on that.
No.
There's no safety on that old school. He's old school. I'm old school. I'm
Oh, he is
old
old
school.
school.
Yeah, he likes to say that too. He tells everybody. I think that should be on his gravestone at some point. I'm old school.
But total retraction, literally, when she's like, you should be the boss. And he's like, why did you do that? Like, he's just no interest at all.
Because he's old school, he's gonna say, I don't have eyes on the boss's job. Then obviously you see the conversation that he has with Junior, but we're gonna take the time to call a spade a spade. Janice is Olivia part 2. She is her mother's daughter, bro. Like she is very methodical in what she says. She knows how to plant seeds and pivot, to leave that thought in your head, and then she's off on to another conversation, but she knows what she did.
Mm-hmm.
She knows that you're going to be either you're going to come back and ask a question, or you're going to be stewing on whatever it is that she said, because since that time that she was, smacking, making that sex jelly with Richie, with the gun to her head, since that moment, that's when the conversation with Junior happens. These things start to unfold because she's planting those seeds. You should be the boss, etc.
Speaking of Livia, he says as he takes a drink of his coffee, while they're having this conversation about different things, also another thing that people do after they have sex, she lights up. She smokes a joint.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. Again, she's old enough. She can make that thing. All of a sudden, here comes Livia down the stairs in her little motorized chair. Now, here's what I was thinking as it was happening. A lot of times, like a lot of my thoughts, I think about it later on. I thought about this as it's happening. All right, let's give Livia the benefit of the doubt, and her room is right next to the stairs. Okay.
Okay.
So she can easily just slide out of bed. She's right there at the door. She can put herself in the chair. Even if those things don't just zip up and down the stairs, you got to like lock in. You got to power it
Right.
up. She was at the top of those stairs waiting for her moment, listening to all of that stuff. Now, she knows how Richie is, and she probably knows how Janice is. She's like, she wouldn't have been surprised if Janice in the middle of that was like, no, my name is Parvati. You got to call me Parvati. So she knows she's got to pick her moments.
Right.
So she was up there. She was listening to all of that.
Yep.
She's like, wait, do I smell pot in my house? Oh no, now I've got to make my way.
Right.
She knew exactly what she's doing.
Oh no,
She's
she knew
picking her
exactly
moment.
she picks her moments. That's why I say those Sopranos women, if they can do one thing, they can pick their moments, bro. Because she smelled that pot. She also smelled that fuck jelly that was in the air too. And I gotta
Absolutely.
I gotta give some props to Janice because Janice, as you pointed out already, she is a down chick. She let a man put a gun to her head while they were smacking. And what we have to understand is, we'll learn this later. Janice is down when it comes to sex, bro. She's got some individuals in her life, and she's down. That's all I can say. She is down, and I'm a fan of her open mindedness. There you go.
If I'm in a conversation with somebody else and the subject of sex comes up, they're like, "Hey, have you ever tried this? Do you like it?" I might say, "Oh yeah, I've tried that before." Or, "No, I've not tried that." Or, "I tried it, I didn't like it," or, "This happened." I'm down. I never discuss like individual partners. I never would say,
Okay.
"Oh, Susie Q was like this, TJ,"
Okay.
and da 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 da. I feel like I'm not with Susie Q. I'm with my wife, but I don't even discuss Susie Q with my wife. To me, that was between me and Susie Q. I don't want to go back to Susie Q. She's moved on with her life. I love my wife. I've moved on, but I mean, I don't put out our business and all that. Janice is
Right.
not that way.
No.
Janice is like, and because Carmella's like, "Please tell me the gun was not loaded." He's like, and she's like, she's like, it's a power thing. Well, he knows. Yeah.
Right.
Janice is like, "Man, she's like, Carmella, who amongst us has not had a gun pointed at
Okay.
their face?" And Carmella's like, "Me."
Me? I haven't done it. What are you talking about? No one else is experiencing this. Even if Carmella had experiences, she wasn't going to say anything about it. We learned that from earlier in the season when we found out that
when
Junior
when Junior was going
likes
down
to,
on his
yeah,
woman, and
he likes to do cunnilingus.
and Carmella's like, "When would I tell? Like, what, the one time of the year
The
that you do
one
it?" So we
time of the
know
year that you,
we know she has everything locked down because Carmella knows that information secrets
yeah,
are like currency. So she keeps all of it. Carmella, to me, going in, a lot of times I think, she, now this may change later on and she gets physical, has to take somebody out. She's the most cutthroat to me. Because even though we know Tony can take care of business, with Carmelo will take care of business and won't even have to get any bodies
see,
left
my
behind.
thing with Carmella, man, and I have to say it, bro, and this goes along with the episodes we've seen. Of all the characters that we've been introduced to so far, she seems to be the biggest hypocrite out of everybody.
I
Like,
can see that as well.
because you sit there and you say you let Tony do what he does with his gumars because it's a form of
Former
masturbation,
masturbation. Yep.
but then she gives him shit about it. You talk to him, say, I'm not gonna go to hell when I die. But she is still cashing them checks. Not literal checks, but she's spending that money. And so of all the people, of all of them, Dr. Milfy is close, but of all the people, she's the biggest hypocrite.
I always look at that as like what the Green Bay Packers used to feel about Vince Lombardi. Like, he was this cutthroat coach. They would cuss him, he would cuss them back. But if somebody else said something about him, oh, it's time to fight. See, that's how I look at it. She's like, look, I always looked at it as a form of masturbation until it comes back to her, where she learns about the guy whose little side piece had a baby. Remember, then she jumps on
Right.
Tony's like, "You don't bring a bastard into this into this earth and screw up our family." To her, it's all good. Yes, I'm going to heaven because I know because she's like, yes, I'm in this family, but it's like she's with you back there in the corner. She's not in the kitchen making the meal, even though she knows the meals are being made, as long as the meal ends up in front of her.
I
Because
get
she
it.
can always say, "Oh, plausible deniability." She knows what she's there. She knows what her husband's doing, but
Absolutely she does.
I think she can justify it in her mind as that's a different form of masturbation. this is just a different way of how my husband earns his living. I feel like that's how she can justify
If
it
it
in her mind.
and I get that. I get that. I know we got to get back on topic. I'm just pointing out because we're talking about different women on the show, and just with Janice. Janice is Olivia part two, but when it comes to them sheets, she is who she is.
Mm-hmm.
She's not gonna get on Richie about what he does. She knows what he does. She's cool with the life.
Right.
But Carmella, knowing who Tony was, because we know that Carmella has always known who Tony was. She chose to come into this life, and it seems that now, as the kids have gotten older, and obviously we weren't introduced to it before, but it just seems like she's her disdain for it is she's getting short. Like she can't tolerate. That's what I was looking for. They're not able to tolerate as much. And that could be because things are kind of combusting around her with everything going on with Big Pussy, his wife. Carmella stepping in and trying to talk to Big Pussy's wife to try and keep her from divorcing Big Pussy. I mean, all of that. And again, I'm going back, but hey, fans, this is how this is. We getting deep. We're getting deep with it.
But like we said, what was that? Was that last episode or episode before last? When she's trying to save that marriage, she's not really talking about their marriage.
No, she's not talking about the bumping Ceros at all. She is talking 100% about her and Tony.
Right.
100%.
Because I think also like she loves Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Tony has given her a great life, a great house, two kids to raise, and all that. This wonderful life. All right. Then all of a sudden, one day, the part that she really didn't like, she knew about but didn't want to be involved. Now all of a sudden, it's like knocking on her door. It's at the bottom of her driveway,
Yeah.
and she's like, "No, you're not." She's going to keep what she. Yeah, she feels like, look, I went through a lot of stuff, but I was in the clouds. But you're trying to drag me out of the clouds. You might drag me, but you won't be easy.
Big time fact. What I can say about her, and this is part of the reason why I called her a hypocrite, is because in the first season we saw her on Father Intentola, and now she's got a new interest.
Mm-hmm. And we will talk about that. But one final thing, and then we are going to move on. We also saw her. Now that I think about it, that first episode. Oh, was that a leaf? What did I hear outside? Let me grab this big ass gun.
The AK.
The AK.
Oh, that was awesome. Father Intentola is about to piss his pants because he's like, wait, what?
The father's like, we were just talking about which Godfather Tony liked. Where'd that gun come from?
And why such a big one? I'm thinking she's gonna grab 45 something handheld quick. No. She grabbed something that could put down anything, bro.
He's like, I was just about to ask if we could get some of that ravioli out the freezer. But he's up for that.
I mean, I want some coffee if you're making some, but it's about drinking hour, ain't it?
We didn't see it, but that night he's like, you know what? Would you look at the time? It's getting late. I'll be back later on.
He didn't spend the night that
night. He lost his appetite.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, goodness. That's awesome. So getting back to someone whose life is not good, too embarrassed to go home, Davey has taken to sleeping in a small tent set up in his store. In a late night conversation with Tony, he asks, how will this end? Tony explains that he and Richie will keep squeezing the store until it's forced into bankruptcy.
Bust out.
Davey is inconsolable even after Tony explains that Davey's debts to both Tony and Richie will then be considered satisfied. Look, we're not going to keep squeezing you after it's all gone.
Yeah, once we bust you out, you're done. You can go wherever you want free. But one of the things that got me on that conversation that you're talking about, Tony sits down once he realizes that Davey's there and actually brings up a memory. that they had shared and is smiling about it. But when Davey did it, hey man, you remember when those three guys had you hemmed up and I bust one of them head with a rock? Tony said, don't reminisce on me. Don't reminisce on me. Because he figured Davey's trying to reminisce to try and get him, to cut him some slack. But nah, Tony's not having it. Don't reminisce on me.
Tony also explains to Davey that this is one of his primary sources of income and only let Davey in the game because he knew the store was available to bust out. He reminds Davey that the executive game was fair. Davey could just as easily have won a lot of money as lost it. But if Davey had gone on a run and had built up a big thing, he also knows Davey doesn't quit while he's ahead.
No.
I work in student housing. I had a resident come a couple of weeks ago, and he stops by my office. This is one of the nights I was doing late night work. And he says, Joey, I just had to tell somebody. I went down. We've got a casino here in town. I went down to a casino. First hand he played won $450.
Nice.
So he got up and left. He's like, everybody there was like, no, you got to keep playing. And his friend's like, you got to buy us a drink. And he's like, I knew I wasn't going to get anything else. So he left with his money. That is not Davey.
No.
Davey would lose that $450 and then go get some more or borrow some more or beg for more.
Davey's more like me. 2 weeks ago, I went to a casino. We have about 25 minutes from where I live now. Went to the casino, took $20, turned that $20 into $108. I could have walked away, but I pushed it. And I lost it. Lost it all.
So, when you're telling that story, did you say I lost 20 or do you say I lost 108?
I lost 108.
Okay.
No, technically, I lost 128, as far as I'm concerned, because I had the $20 to start with. I gained $108 on top of that. I'm just losing money all around, man. Like and I'll be honest about it, man. I'm not a gambler. Like casinos is not something necessarily that I do a lot. I mean, this is the first time I was in casino in the last 15 years.
Right.
But again, they're pumping fresh oxygen in there. You don't know what time it is outside because there are no windows. Yeah, they're getting that money back. But that's at the casino. Davey was at the card game. They just got a whole bunch of cigar smoke and Seal being real pissy. So
and Matt trying to just sweep up underneath us. And they're like, look, we told you, leave the man alone.
Don't sweep my damn feet.
So after imploring Tony, here's where you can come into some hypocrite-ville. To stop cheating on her in the previous episode, Carmella is attracted to a new handyman, Victor Musto. Musto?
Yeah.
Victor is the brother of Davey's wife and also a widower. He and Carmella share a passionate kiss, but realize the futility of the situation. However, when he calls her, she invites him over for a discussion and gourmet meal that she prepares herself. In the meantime, Victor learns of Tony's involvement with his brother-in-law and sends an assistant to meet her instead of arriving himself. Tony tries to get closer to AJ and Meadow, but does not succeed until Tony takes AJ on his boat and capsizes two men in a canoe.
That's a nice way to end the episode.
Good little way to end the episode.
I want to say this to all y'all listening right now. I don't know how many of you there are, but whoever it is, and whenever you listen to this, if you've never been kissed, watch that clip of Musto and Carmella. That is how you should feel after being kissed. Carmella looked like she just came. I'm just being completely honest. That was passionate, but then 2 conversations later for Victor, and he's not coming back. Vic is not coming back because he had the conversation with his sister first, where that's the mob boss's wife, this big house, blah blah blah. Whenever he came to pick up his sister at Carmella's in the first place, but then he had the conversation with Davey the day before he was supposed to go back. So he has the kiss. Then that night he has the conversation with Davey about how Davey essentially is busted out because of Tony. And yeah, he's definitely not coming back because he was supposed to send this fella to the other job. Nah, Vic's not dumb. He's not dumb
No.
because he knew he wanted to smash. He wanted to get dirty with Carmella. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get so dirty, and Carmella definitely wanted. It's kind of a throwaway scene when we see an episode or two ago after she met Vic. There's a scene of Carmella in the bed, and she's pleasuring herself to the thought of Vic. It's a throwaway scene. We don't talk much about it because it's not very long, but she was really into that guy.
And for a couple of episodes, is reading memoirs of a geisha.
Yeah.
So it's all adding up. It's all adding up. But to her, until she finds out a couple of episodes from now, while she's disappointed that his assistant comes up, to her, that like bumps him up in her mind. Oh, he can't do this until she learns the truth later on. No,
Right.
he's scared of your husband.
Scared of your husband.
All right. So then we go to house arrest. Cousin Junior, no, Uncle Junior. Why am I saying
Uncle
Cousin Junior?
You think about
Cousin
Adam's
Junior
family, Cousin Ed.
I'm thinking about mid '80s WWF and those hillbillies they had. They had a Cousin Junior. That's what it
There
was.
you go.
Uncle Junior.
Uncle June.
It's an Uncle June centric episode. It's the 11th episode of season 2. 24th overall episode, written by Terrence Winter, directed by Tim Van Patten, and originally aired on March 26, 2000. Junior and Richie begin selling cocaine on the garbage routes to obtain extra money. When Tony learns about this, he warns Richie to stop, explaining that such action will only serve to draw FBI and DEA attention to the family's legitimate sanitation business. When informed of his nephew's decision, Junior decides to go against Tony since the drug sales have supported him through his recent personal expenses and legal fees.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck at home and he's going broke. He's not getting enough to cover everything.
Do what you gotta do, right, June?
Neil advises Tony that the FBI is making attempts to indict him after linking him to Matt's murder. He suggests that Tony begin fulfilling his nominal job as a waste management consultant instead of spending huge amounts of time at the Bada Bing.
Mm-hmm.
Tony does so, but becomes increasingly bored on the job. He tries for a while to just stay at home. He's bored there. He's bored on the job, because they're like, the guy hadn't shown up in years. We got a pretty smooth running operation here.
Right. They were using his office for storage space.
Right. Tony begins pastime by having sex with Connie, the office receptionist. Started out, she was a hardcore Christian. He wore her down like 2 scenes.
Didn't take long.
Because it was like, you need something? He's like, nah, I'm good. Next scene. Yeah. And making the company betting pool for sports. So that's how he's passing his time, You got this legitimate business. Why not show up?
Let's make it a little dirty. Let's have sex with our assistants and let's get some gambling going. That's what Tony does.
All right. So then they have a banquet for the company, and he's lecturing Richie at the banquet. Right after that, Tony suffers a panic attack and is rushed to the hospital. Tony then discovers a rash on his arm. Aggravated by stress and his scratching it, and continues to blame his condition on Dr. Melfi's treatment. Melfi stress continues to worsen as she begins drinking between sessions on days when she is scheduled to see Tony. At a meal with her son Jason, a drunken Melfi embarrasses them both when she rudely confronts another restaurant patron about a cigarette. Do you have to smoke? Can you put the cigarette out? And she's like, no. And Dr. Melfi just loses it. Her doctor grows increasingly worried and escalates his therapy with Melfi. So Melfi is escalating on her own.
She's spiraling.
Her and Tony, it's like they're in parallel lanes here. It's just manifesting itself in different ways.
Right.
Junior sees a doctor about breathing problems and is advised to use a CPAP machine at night for his sleep apnea. As he prepares to leave the hospital, Junior reunites with the widow of an old friend, Catherine Romano, and tries to cover up his legal and medical situations. because Catherine's you can see she's got a little something for Junior. Maybe not, yeah. Maybe we can do this, and he's like, "Oh, I got this happening." He's just trying to cover up.
Well, I mean, he's on house arrest. Like, how do you? I mean, it's crazy because he obviously he wants to have some type of a relationship, but he can't go anywhere, and he doesn't want to expose to her that he's on house arrest because she meets him in the hospital.
Right.
His ankle is covered, so she can't see the monitor. So he's still got deniability. But yeah, I get it. And then for a CPAP, if you've never had a CPAP, you don't know what it's like to. You be like, oh, he's just got a CPAP. He can have somebody over. No. When you first get on that CPAP, you're self-conscious about it. I could tell you some of the faces that I've seen before I started wearing the CPAP. People spend the night with me and they would look at me in sheer terror because they thought I was dying.
Right.
So, I get it. I get it why he's a little iffy about having to spend the night. I understand.
I have a friend who said she used to punch her husband. I'm like, why are you punching him? Was it snoring that bad? She's like, no, he would quit breathing. So then she's like, I'm not sleeping because I'm worried about him not breathing. I'm like, I get it. As someone who uses CPAP myself. Can you imagine if, thankfully I'm not out in the dating scene anymore and my wife is fully aware of everything, but can you imagine you're dating somebody and they're like, you want to stay over? Sure. And I'm coming with this bag, right? So they're expecting some intimacy and I'm showing up with this bag and they're like, well, I thought we were going to talk about the kinky stuff later on. I'm like, no, it's a mask.
It's a mask. Can't sleep without it.
And they pull out a different kind of mask and things go totally different.
Yeah, man. I didn't know we were bringing the GIMP stuff into it, man. But
back at home, he is forced to make excuses when Catherine drops by with a tray of manicotti and suggests that they go out. After getting his hand stuck in his sink's garbage disposal unit for over 6 hours, he elects to call Catherine. When Junior opens up about his house arrest, Catherine understands and tells Junior that she enjoys spending time with him. She demonstrates her affection by massaging him and helping him put it on his CPAP mask at night while they're watching Diagnosis Murder. He falls asleep, and she puts his mask on him. Now, let's go to my friend Livia, part 2. Junior checks in with Livia, being the good brother-in-law, even, all these years later.
Right.
And he explains, spending time with Catherine seem to be working out. Well, Livia can't have that. Mm-hmm. And just the stuff that my Johnny said that she let him do to her, like that. All right, first of all, not just dragging Catherine's name through the mud. Let's dig Johnny up. And I'm like, Livia, this is why we can't have nice things.
Can't have nice things, man.
Because whatever you think of Junior has something positive here. He's like, look, I got to be honest with you, Catherine. And he puts all his cards out on the table. And she's like, I enjoy spending time with you. If I got to come over here or however we got to spend time, I'm fine with that. And I'm like, go ahead, Junior. Livia's like, no, everybody's got to be as miserable as I am.
Yep, 100%. If I'm by myself, everybody got to be by themselves. And I can't spend time with you, Junior, because my Johnny was a saint. How could you say these things? He's my husband's brother. Like, come on, man. So
meanwhile, over at her house, a bell goes off in the back of Carmella's head. Like, it's funny. We never knew it when he was alive.
Right. Keep it.
During an appointment with Melfi, Tony is told that he may exhibit symptoms consistent with alexithymia, a condition that affects people with antisocial personalities. If they aren't constantly engaged in activity and receiving requisite stimulation, they tend to crash because they then have time to confront the ways in which their actions have brought suffering on others. Tony decides to return to work at Sopranos and is welcomed back to work by his underling. as well as FBI agent Harris and his new partner. The episode ends with the agents and the mobsters amicably chatting outside.
Agent Harris, knowing what I know, is if you look at Agent Harris's interaction with Tony, I don't know how quite to explain it because all the other FBI agents exhibit that I'm a cop, I'm the law, you're the bad guy, I gotta catch you. But it seems like Harris either has sympathy or empathy for Tony because I go back to the moment that Tony is hearing the tapes of Junior and Livia talking about killing him.
Right.
And Agent Harris looked noticeably uncomfortable. Everybody else is in there smiling and happy because they can see we got one up on Tony. But Agent Harris looked uncomfortable. So it's just seeming like that relationship, it's not good guy, bad guy, cops and robbers 100% with Agent Harris.
I look at it, and I wish I could remember their names. It's the old Looney Tunes cartoon with the wolf and the sheepdog. They clock in at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Morning Bill, morning Carl, or whatever it is. Then they chase each other and do all the different things. Then they're eating lunch together. Go back on. They're chasing each other, and then they clock out at the end of the day. That's how I look at their relationship.
Honestly, it's just they are playing their roles, but you have to ask the question that if they did not wear the uniform that they have chosen in their profession, and yes, I know Tony is in the mafia, but we're going to say figuratively that it's a uniform. So if they had not chosen their chosen professions, I could see them being friends. But because Agent Harris is in the FBI, he has to toe the party line. But like I said, just based on that look, he just seemed uncomfortable. So I'm going to be watching going forward how Harris interacts with Tony going forward.
And then you contrast that with how Big Pussy is with his agent in the next episode. Big Pussy is like, oh, I got big ideas. You know, he's like, look, I can't go back. We realize that. And he kind of thinks in the previous episode where he breaks down that this is the end. And he's like the guy who's got the terminal illness. You know, he's holding on to that little sliver of hope. And then he's like, "Oh no, maybe there is a way," and until it just all comes crashing down.
All comes crashing down. Yep.
So let's get into that. The Knight in White Satin Armor. 12th episode of season 2, 25th overall episode of the series, written by Robin Green and Mitchell Burgess, directed by Alan Coulter, and originally aired on April the 2nd, 2000. Episode begins where Richie April's son is practicing ballroom dancing while his nephew Jackie April Jr. is hanging out with friends at Janice's home. After being told by Janice that she knows of his Russian girlfriend on the side, Tony attempts to break it off with Irina for reasons of shame and embarrassment and insists to Irina that she deserves better than being his kumare. Irina refuses to accept the breakup, saying that she loves Tony and will commit suicide if he leaves her. But he walks out. Tony later receives a call from Irina's cousin, Svetlana, informing him that Irina attempted to kill herself by consuming sleeping pills and vodka. Tony visits her in the hospital and tells her that she needs help. Tony then discusses Irina with Dr. Melfi and asks if she can find her a suitable therapist. Melfi refuses since she does not want to get deeply involved with Tony's criminal career or extramarital life. When Tony, in an attempt to cast himself as doing the right thing, confesses that Irina's situation to Carmella, she becomes angered and yells, "You are putting me in a position where I'm feeling sorry for the whore who fucks you." Cards on the table.
Where is my knight in white satin armor? Because she's so disappointed because her cousin, like my cousin's only been here for a couple of months, and she finds a guy. They're walking at the mall, and her leg falls off, and I'm like, what? And he just carries her in her leg, and I'm like, what? But then you see, yeah, she's only got half of, yeah. So I don't And I'm like Carmella. It's like I have a hard time feeling sorry for her because she knows what she was getting into. But for anybody who's watching this and wondering if there's emotion in sex, there is. Because she knows she's a side piece, but she does not want to give it up. Like she's enjoying the benefits of being with Tony, and going to kill yourself route. I mean, like I said, I never want to joke with mental health or suicide or anything like that. But that's the card that she chose to play, and she knew exactly what to say because Tony was invested again enough to try and seek help for her. Even though bringing it up to Carmella was never going to be great. It was never going to be great.
Right. But Tony also does exactly what I would do if I had this person in my life, and sometimes I wish that I did. Tony sends Sylvia to Arena's house to present her with a parting gift of $75,000. And Sylvia is the perfect person to go. You wouldn't send Christopher.
No, he's too strong.
You wouldn't send
Syl's got
Paulie.
flex. No, neither one of those have flex. Nope.
He's distanced himself from Big Pussy, but even if Pussy's also not the person to send, you
or
definitely
Furio.
Wouldn't send Furio. Furio would just, he's like, I killed them both.
You take
like,
this.
No, I didn't.
No, you take this. No, I killed them both.
Here's your money back. Going to wash up now. Silvio's the perfect person.
Because he works with girls all day.
Yeah. And along with Svetlana, he persuades her to move on with her life. And Svetlana's like, I would take the money. While this solves Tony's problem with Arena, the threat of Richie April taking over the Soprano crime family by killing Tony remains, and he cannot be bought off. At a bridal shop, while Janice is beaming over her upcoming marriage to Richie, Carmella makes comments that soon enough Janice's marriage will go down the same path as her own, which Janice defends by saying she engages in kinky and potentially dangerous is what I'm getting this from the Sopranos wiki. Potentially dangerous. Again, the gun is fully loaded, folks.
With extra bullets.
In the other hand, I can reload it quickly.
I got this.
Activities that no Kamari could match, She takes care of her man.
Yeah.
Why would he step out? She's up for anything. And she's not understanding why Carmella's having a problem with it. The gun's not loaded. At Richie April and Janice's engagement party, which Tony reluctantly hosts, if you ever want to see a person who does not want to be where they're at, it is Tony at this party.
100%.
Richie professes his love for Janice and his gratitude that he is entering a great family. Witnessing the pair's affection and happiness, Carmella escapes to the kitchen where she cries uncontrollably. Carmella's starting to spin out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, she's held it together for a long time. We've talked about this and all of that. But the following day, Carmella runs into Vic at a paint store where she thanks him for not showing up to their intended luncheon since she would have done things that she would have regretted. And again, she was like, thank you so much. You were such a big man and all that.
Right.
She has not learned the truth yet.
That's it.
Big Pussy begins to take to his job as an FBI informant seriously, beginning to feel even more resentment towards Tony. I mean, he's starting to really build himself up, and he's like, maybe I can go on a speaking tour. And I heard that this weather in Arizona is good. And
right.
First, he wears a wire to Richie and Janice's engagement party, and then elicits useful information about stolen airline tickets and Tony's business with Davy.
Right.
However, Pussy begins to develop an unrealistic image of his new role. When he learns that Christopher is planning a hijacking with another associate targeting a shipment of Pokemon cards. Pussy attempts
Pokemon. They got these Pokemon cards.
And his agent Skip is like, what?
They got these Pokemon cards. You know what? I'm popping these Xanax like juju bees. I like big pussy, man.
Who then conducts his own surveillance and follows them to the heist, but winds up in a car accident and is wounded. At the hospital, his handler, Agent Skip Lipari, reminds Pussy that he's not a government employee and he should focus solely on providing information on Tony. Just pour cold water on Big Pussy's, dreams of I'm getting out clean. I can do all this. Maybe I can do. Yeah, again, he wanted the speaking tour, and maybe I can give. He wants the TED talk. He's got his
100%, he's ready.
He's got that. The little thin mic there on that. He's ready.
That's it.
Richie's contempt for Tony grows when he is again ordered to shut down a sideline distributing cocaine along his garbage routes. Later, Janice informs him that Tony refuses to have his children near him after the situation with Beansy and believes Richie is a bad influence. Furious, Richie can no longer remain loyal to the boss. Richie approaches Junior and suggests having Tony killed, but Junior is reluctant, being mindful of his own failure to do so last year and his tentative reconciliation with his nephew since then. When Richie insists that he can muster support from other dissatisfied crews, such as the Barisis, Junior finally offers his approval. Richie visits Albert Barisi, acting capo of the Barisi crew, since his cousin Larry Boy's indictment, to try to win his allegiance, but Albert balks at the idea of a hit on Tony and refuses. Junior subsequently suggests to Richie that they should wait and consider the option, but once Richie departs, Junior molds his loyalty once more and concludes that Richie's inability to sell the plan to Albert reflects upon his lack of respect and influence. Again, Junior's a lot of things, but he is no dummy.
I can say he learns from his mistakes, right, because he very much got coaxed into what he did, making the attempt on Tony's life the first time. That's he got coaxed into it by Livia. I think he's learned from his mistakes, and also taking into consideration if Richie made the hit on Tony, it is going to be perceived that Junior was behind it, 100%. So, Junior's, I'm thinking Junior is not going to okay this unless he knows that he is 100% insulated and it is 100% going to be taken care of. You can't have another failed attempt on the guy because they're going to know that you had something to do with it and there is no way you survived it. So, yeah.
He ultimately decides that having Richie in power would ultimately cause him more trouble and tips off Tony about Richie's plan to eliminate him. After learning of this, Tony asks for Silvio's advice on what to do with Richie, and Silvio concludes that there's no further benefit to keeping Richie around. Silvio is ordered to plan the hit, but these plans will be overtaken by other events.
Because Janice.
More on that in a second. Vexed, Richie returns home to dinner with Janice and expressed disgust for his son Richie Jr.'s career path as a ballroom dancer. When Janice takes offense, saying she does not care if little Ricky is considered gay, he silences her with a punch to the mouth. He asks his distraught fiance, "What, are you going to cry now?" Janice walks out of the room, returns with a gun in her hand, and shoots Richie in the chest.
R.I.P.
And Richie literally is sitting there with the shocked look like, "You just shot me."
Seriously. Like, if you can translate a look into words, that look was, "Bitch." That's what the look said, because he was surprised, 100% surprised that he caught that one in the chest. I'm showing Janice mad respect because, look, she didn't start fighting, arguing, yelling. Nah, ain't no need for that. I'm not about to have Olivia coming downstairs for some yelling. You just punched me in my face. You don't know who I am. Like, so I don't need a whole bunch of hooping and hollering. You just punch me in my mouth. I can handle that.
I had not made this note, but it just came to me. Livia was at the top of them steps, and she just had it, and then she heard the punch, and then she's like, "Ooh, I might need to go see." And then she heard the shot, and she's like, "I don't need anything
I
down
don't
here
need
in that
anything.
bad leg.
I don't need nothing.
I don't. Is that gunpowder? No,
Nah,
probably
nah.
leftover pot smell from the other night. Some sex
That's
juice.
it. Not sex juice, not pot. I'm not going down them stairs.
Would you look at the time? I'm a little sleepy.
Is Murder, She Wrote on?
That show's not even on. I bet they got a rerun on one of these channels.
Yeah, gotta have a rerun. No,
She
it's
done
off
gone
the
through them
air.
channel 4. She done gone through them channel 4 times. If I just keep clicking, I'll find Angela Lansbury.
I can just imagine because she calls AJ. AJ, what channel is Murder, She Wrote on? Grandma, that show's been canceled. Canceled? No. Yeah, Grandma. Canceled? Murder, She Wrote. No.
Then she explains it. Jessica Fletcher, Angela, she solves murder, and it
solves murder.
It's right there. It's right there in the title.
It's in the name. It's canceled, Grandma. No, you don't know what you're talking about.
Richie clings to life for a brief moment, hardly believing what just happened. Janice shoots him a second time. Ben, this is one of my favorite lines of this whole web page. The entire page. Starting to panic. She calls Tony to take care of the body, which he does by enlisting the help of Christopher and Furio, where they dismembered the corpse with the meat cutting equipment and said it's going to be a while before they. Tony then buys Janice a bus ticket to Seattle, and they quickly part company. Now, Livia Part 4.
Right.
Tony comes and is the brother. Even though she's older, he plays the big brother here. But I'll take care of it. Because she was all about that. She's like, I'm not going to take this, and shoots him. Then she falls apart.
Yep.
He's like, go get in the car and all this. Livia's got to get her digs in. Tony stands up to her. He's like, I don't care and all that. Then he leaves, and what happens? He trips.
Yep.
And falls. And the glee that she gets from that.
Laugh. She's a spiteful, hateful person, man. I mean, you talking about misery-loving company. That right there that should be tattooed on her back, man. I mean, that's her life. She wants to.
I cannot have anyone have any happiness.
What Dr. Melfi said, he's talking about, BPD, borderline personality disorder, I think is a accurate, diagnosis for Livia's. Like, she just, knowing that Tony was embarrassed made her happy. And as a mom, I mean, that's tough. I can understand why Tony is the way he is. He longs for that love, but because of the source, he's never going to get it. So he's constantly chasing after things to get that good feeling. He's always chasing after that good feeling. And anytime somebody tells him that he's a bad guy, he always wants to do something to show, no, that's not me. You don't know me. I'm a good guy, which is why, again, I go back to that episode with the coach. And he's like, I ain't hurt nobody. I didn't hurt anybody. Like, that was a big deal for him. So yeah, I love the lines that we get from Livia, but obviously just looking at it in terms of real life, I mean, it sucks that the relationship they have is what they have. But I would be curious to see how she would be if Johnny were still alive.
That's a good question. I wonder as well. Although, she would give it to Johnny because Tony brings that up.
She would.
Well, she would rather. What did she say? She wanted to smother them. I'd rather
I'll
smother them
smother my children before I let you take them
run.
away. Yep.
Yeah,
Or
to
to
Vegas,
Nevada. To Nevada.
where they would have been set up for life because she talks. Oh, they're billionaires now. They got all this money.
Yep.
He's like, we could have been there too, Mom. And
Yep.
you said you'd
And
rather
smothered.
Yeah, and out because Johnny Boy would have been out. He would have been set up and just clean.
100%.
I'd rather smother my children. Oh, she gets me worked up, and she's a fictional character from 22 years ago. Tony and Carmella discuss Richie and Janice's sudden disappearances, where he hints that Richie will not be coming back. We don't have to worry about Richie. Understanding his implication, Carmella is shocked, but soon moves the conversation on and informs Tony that she and Rosalie April want to travel to Rome to see the sights and hopefully Pope John Paul II. Carmella asks that Tony be a chauffeur to AJ to find Meadow a suitable tennis camp while she is away, mockingly suggests that she just might commit suicide unless he agrees to let her go. It's a way to end we've got one episode left in season 2. And again, David Chase is like, yeah, let's let it all go.
Go for broke. Carmella wanting to take that trip, I think she wanted, well, with everything going down the way it did, with Vic, Musto, with everything happening there, with everything happening with Janice, that crying fit that she had at the engagement, because she saw, even though Janice and Richie ended up the way it did, she saw that fire that they had, and I feel like she was jealous of it. Also, what Janice said to her also, I'm doing everything that my man needs. He shouldn't have to go and get a Gumar. So I think she took that personally as well. And not to forget, Tony went to Italy without her.
Right.
So she wanted to be a part of that trip as well. So she definitely, I figured, I was like, as soon as an opportunity for her to travel comes up, she is taking it.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. We need to pour one out here. We got our first significant death since we did it. Richie, shot by Janice after he punched her in the mouth for defending his son's possible homosexuality.
R.I.P. Richie. 4, 5, maybe 6 episodes. His character was vital because it was a link to the old school, and it
Right.
was for me, a shining moment showing that the old ways don't necessarily apply anymore. And Tony's running his crew, his family, different than the way the Aprils would have done it, different than the way that his dad or Junior would have done it. This is Tony family. It's a whole new day. So, yeah, shouts out to Richie. I mean, I even though he wasn't around for very long, I appreciate what he brought to the show.
Yep. Title reference. The episode's title is a quote made by Irina about her cousin Svetlana's American fiance, Bill, who treats her well. Apparently a confused paraphrasing of the term knight in shining armor and the Moody Blues song Knights in White Satin. Irina first says this in the season 1 episode, College. Janice is seen wearing white satin while trying on wedding dresses. She later acts as Tony's savior, albeit inadvertently, when she kills Richie, who had been planning on killing Tony. Connection to future episodes. Here's a big thing, folks, and if you haven't, we're hoping you follow along after this, but if not, cut us off now, watch the next episode, then come back and start it at this point. Agent Lipari tells Big Pussy that the airline tickets resulting from the bust out of David Scatino are of no value to the FBI, as he believes Tony is way too clever to have it traced to him. Lipari's speculation will be proven wrong as Tony angrily gives a ticket to Livia in an effort to get her to leave town. Livia's arrest at the airport and funhouse was due to her use of a stolen plane ticket that was traced to Tony.
Mm-hmm.
We found them in your car under the seat, is what they will say to him, which nearly caused him problems in the third season, which we'll get to.
Right.
Production. Now, this is the coolest thing I found out about this episode. Due to David Preval's training as an amateur boxer, the actor that plays Richie, he had the capacity to judge the distance of his strike. Consequently, the scene where Richie punches Janice was filmed without stunt doubles. He actually took a shot at her but did not hit her. Touched her face but did not hit her. I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, absolutely, man. I mean, yeah. I didn't even know that he was I didn't know he was a boxer. I didn't know much about the guy playing Richie, but you could tell he's got a little something up under that jacket, that members only jacket that he's always wearing, man.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, that's interesting right there. That's all right.
And yeah, an actor but had trained as a boxer, and they trusted it. I mean, you know, they trusted his skills there. Alan Coulter was nominated for the 2000 Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Director for a Drama Series for his direction in The Knight in White Satin Armor. Mitchell Burgess and Robin Green were nominated for Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series, and William B. Stitch received the nomination for Outstanding Single Camera Picture Editing for a Drama Series. This episode was one of the 2 Viewers' Choice winners on the A&E network when they were showing the series. They had a poll and they played back the top things. This was in the top 2.
Nice.
The other episode, our very next episode, Funhouse. Funhouse is the 13th episode and season finale of season 2 of The Sopranos, the 26th overall episode of the series, written by series creator, executive producer David Chase, and co-producer Todd Kessler, and was directed by frequent Sopranos director John Patterson. It originally aired in the United States on April 9th, 2000, attracting about 9 million viewers. James Gandolfini won an Emmy Award for his performance in the episode and was also nominated in the category of Outstanding Writing for a Drama Series. Shortly after Janice's departure, Tony and his younger sister Barbara arrive at Livia's home to discuss her permanent living arrangements. When Livia refuses to move in with Tony and Carmella or Barbara, Tony becomes very angry and hands Livia 2 airline tickets to Tucson. One for herself and one for her sister Quintina Blundetto, and warns her to leave for good. He goes outside, gets the tickets, and hands them to her. Later, Tony discusses a calling card credit scheme with Silvio and Big Pussy at Artie Bucco's restaurant, immediately after eating it at an Indian restaurant. This becomes very important, folks. During the night, Tony dreams that he is walking on the boardwalk in Asbury Park and meets up with Paulie, Silvio, Christopher, Hesh, Puss, and Philly Parisi. Tony has just received word that he has 6 months to live from a terminal illness, possibly cancer, but never stated, and accepts the information as if he had already known this and come to accept it. His friends further inform him that he is going to kill himself instead, to which his friends commend his bravery and appreciate the favor he will be doing them, sparing them all those doctor visits. Tony douses himself with a container of gasoline, and Paulie ignites a Zippo. Christopher asks, "What if these doctors are wrong?" Tony only gets a split second to process this information, and the gasoline explodes before Tony could even close the Zippo. Tony then quickly awakes to vicious diarrhea and vomiting. Tony also has a mild fever dream about Uncle Junior wandering on a factory site. Furthermore, he sees himself through a binoculars playing a card game with Paulie. When Paulie says something, Tony shoots Paulie to death. The following morning, Carmella believes that her husband has received food poisoning from Artie Bucco's restaurant and contacts his owner. When Artie arrives at the Soprano home, Artie breaks down all the food choices here. He and Tony argue about the quality of his food, and Artie quickly learns that Tony ate at an Indian restaurant, which could have also caused sickness. He's like, they use ghee. You know what ghee is? It's clarified butter. You get some of that goes bad. Artie's on top of it. Like, don't talk
Oh yeah.
about the food at Artie's
Don't.
place.
No, you ain't gonna say nothing about New Vesuvio, baby.
Eventually, Artie calls up Big Pussy to see if he is sick as well. Tony then goes into a delirium after receiving a house call from Dr. Kuzamana, Dr. Kuz,
Coos.
and eventually falls asleep. Tony then begins to dream about having sex with Dr. Melfi during a therapy session. Tony's all over the place with these dreams, man. Later at Dr. Melfi's, Tony goes off on a racist rant against Indian people and also against his mother, on which Dr. Melfi challenges him. Tony stubbornly refuses to delve into his own mind and tells her of his sexual dream with her before he storms out. Tony has one final fever dream involving him speaking to Big Pussy, who's taking the form of a fish. This dream version of Pussy hints, you know I'm working with the government, right? It makes tongue-in-cheek references to sleeping with the fishes. After this point, the confusion of whether or not Tony was truly awake steadily becomes clear. In the morning, Meta reveals that she's going to Columbia University. Tony and Silvio later go to Pussy's house and invite him to go boating with them. Searching Pussy's room, Tony finds Pussy's wire, proof that Pussy is indeed an FBI informant. He was holding out hope, I think, all the way there until the very end.
To the very end. Because Pussy is one of Tony's oldest friends. Because if you look at the age of everybody, like Paulie is older than Tony.
Right.
But Pussy, they're in the same age range, so they grew up together. They were in it together. So yeah, he didn't want to believe it. And I can't fault him. You don't want to think the worst of your friends, especially when your friends, talking about the family. But once, which was exactly what he said he wanted from Paulie. Whenever he's like, look, you need to see the wire on him, like you need to see it. Because we're not doing this if we're wrong. But now that he's seen it, it's a wrap.
Silvio, Tony, and Pussy meet up with Paulie at the dock, and they sail out together. On the boat, Tony confronts Pussy and asks how long it has been since he flipped. Pussy at first denies the charge of informing, but quickly confesses under pressure. He claims not to have given any major information to the feds, but Tony does not believe him. Silvio excuses himself, claiming to be seasick. Pussy asks for tequila, and Paulie pours Jose Cuervo for Tony and Pussy. Silvio returns as Pussy brags about the girl he used to know at the clinic in Puerto Rico. Tony asks if she was real, and Pussy retreats to a corner, resigned to his fate. Then, as he asks to be allowed to sit, after his 3 consecutive shots of tequila kick in, he claims his inner ear balance is off. He asks several times if it's okay for him to take a seat, clearly overwhelmed and starting to panic. Tony, Paulie, and Silvio shoot him to death, honoring his wishes to not be shot in the face. Paulie removes his jewelry, and together they bind his body in chains and weights and throw him off the back of the boat.
Not the face. Why they say that, folks, if you don't know, I don't think Pussy had any thought that he might be found. But in the event that you are found, you don't want to be shot in the face so that they can have an open casket.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. And was it Altieri? They shot Altieri in the face and put a rat in his mouth whenever he was found out. So
right.
Yeah.
Hours later, Carmella receives a phone call from Livia, who is being detained in Newark Airport security for possessing stolen airline tickets. Within minutes, FBI agents arrive at the Soprano home with a search warrant and ask to search the residence and cars. An agent reveals that he has already searched Tony's car and found the stolen tickets. Tony is placed in handcuffs and is taken to FBI offices for questioning. Tony becomes unbalanced at a point and almost falls, appearing weak in front of the FBI agent. One agent takes the opportunity to point out that mob boss Tony Soprano was weak in the knees. Instead of his usual bravado to the agent, he angrily tells them he's got food poisoning and is led into a holding cell for a brief period of time. Tony quickly contacts his lawyer, Neil Mink, and is released on bail in time for Meadows' graduation, which will be held the next day. The following day at Meadows' graduation ceremony, Tony proudly watches his daughter accept her diploma. At the graduation, Tony tells Christopher that he is proposing him to get his button and become a made man. The episode ends with a montage of Tony's two families celebrating Meadows' graduation, interspersed with the images of the various illegal enterprises through which Tony makes his fortune. Carmella looks for Tony amongst the guests, finding him standing by himself in a corner of the living room, slowly lighting a cigar. The shot fades into a shot of the ocean at sunset, the waves crashing on the shore.
Ending this season, and I did a RIP to Richie after the last episode. RIP to Big Pussy, another character who you're talking about, somebody important to the first two seasons.
Absolutely.
This arc on when is Tony going to find out? It's been this cloud that's just been hanging over, and if you're watching, you're watching for the first time, that anxiety, because you're following along with Tony, even though he's the bad guy. He's not a hero. He's still the main character. So we're following that main character, and you see this cloud forming over his head because all these people are turning snitch. So having Big Pussy there, and then seeing that relationship, because anytime Tony had questions about parenting, he would go to Big Pussy and Sil because they have kids. Sil has kids, Tony's kids' age, and then obviously Big Pussy having, his kids are all in college now. So he was his North Star with regards to parenting questions. So it's detrimental. I'm curious to see how Tony's relationship with everybody else is going to either improve or decrease based on his inability to trust now, because now he's seeing, look, these people are close to me. It's not like, some no-name person. No, this is somebody who has been with me in the trenches for 20, 30 some odd years. So you can understand why he might be a little untrusting. So I'm curious as to see, one, is anybody else going to turn? Talking about going forward now that we're looking at season 3 and going on, is anybody else going to turn? Is anyone close to Tony going to turn? And how is Chris going to recover from, everything? Because, he was shot. He was shot and he died for a period of time. Like they said, his heart stopped beating. So, going into season 3, I'm looking at everybody's relationship. I'm looking at AJ. Is he still going to be this naive kid? What are we looking at going forward with regards to Meadow, and her involvement? Now she's in school. How involved is she going to be going forward? All these are great questions that we have because of some phenomenal writing coming into the end of the season.
In Tony's dream, he is on the boardwalk in Asbury Park near a funhouse with the famous wide-eyed clown painted on it known as Tilly. Also, when Livia calls Tony from airport security, Carmella hands the phone over with the phrase, "The fun never stops." Every time Tony dreams in this episode, there's a creaking sound in the background. This is the same creaking sound of the boat at sea when Pussy gets shot. A lot of foreshadowing on this. But we've known this since the beginning of the season. We all knew. We didn't know how it was going to end up, but we knew where we were headed.
I don't even know that I necessarily knew it was going to happen this season until we had the last episode. When, with Big Pussy very well could have kept it going. But with everything that happened, Furio coming in, making him feel alienated from the family because, Furio's getting some of his assignments. I think Furio coming kind of expedited the whole thing because, Big Pussy, definitely became combative with regards to his relationship. And whenever he saw other people filling his role, he didn't know how to handle it.
especially since this all came so close to him just showing back up.
Yep.
After disappearing and they're not knowing what happened, and then he's clear, but he's still in the wind, and then
In the
after all
wind.
this time, he shows up.
Right.
Entertainment Weekly placed Funhouse number 5 on their list of the 10 greatest Sopranos episodes. Time placed it at number 9. This episode was one of the 2 Viewers' Choice winners on A&E. It is widely considered to be one of the best episodes of the entire series. It is also considered to be one of the most depressing episodes in the entire series. James Gandolfini won the Emmy for Best Actor in a Drama Series for his performance in this episode. Overall thoughts on season 2, and where do you think we're headed with season 3?
Overall thoughts on season 2. Obviously, I love Livia and AJ. I got less Livia and AJ together this season than I did last season, but obviously knowing what we knew about the actress, they were, going to scale her back. But as far as, like I said, the writing, it's only getting better. I'm seeing more character work this season than last. Introducing Janice this season was great. So I'm curious as to whether we're going to get more from her. Are we going to get more from Barbara as far as the siblings are concerned? I've already, mentioned expectations for AJ and Meadow and Christopher. It seems like as far as the family is concerned, everybody is for the most part content with their role. Paulie, Seal. The only person in the family who's kind of itching right now is Christopher because he wants to be made. But so I think that's going to be a big deal. The relationship that Christopher has with Adriana is another big one that I look forward to seeing more of, and the FBI's surveillance of Tony. Because we've seen they've already tried to, get in there and it's getting thick with regards to everybody and all eyes on Tony. So going forward, that FBI involvement, the family, Anthony Jr., just because at some point in time he's not going to be a kid anymore.
Right.
And that right there, that's a big deal. I know the young lady who plays Olivia, she passes between seasons 2 and 3. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So the one thing that I can say, having seen it, and I usually don't talk like this on the show, but you could tell they wrote the stuff before she passed. So I tell everybody, going into season 3, if you're following along with us, go into it with an open mind. Because she passes before season 3, but they have written very important stuff for her character. So she's there, but she's not there. So yeah, just be prepared for that. But other than that, gung ho, excited about it. Love the show, love the writing. And season 2, I hope that at the very end, when we're done, that we will have an episode where we discuss favorite episodes and least favorite episodes to kind of put a bow on all of it. So yeah, I'm down for that.
Oh yeah, no, that would be really good. I'm down with that as well. I think that would
Cool.
be really good. And I told you just a little bit before we started recording. I just watched the first episode of season 3 today, and I was really into it. It was something different, but I was getting it, and I really enjoyed their musical choices. And I'm going to talk about that next time because it
Awesome.
all flows. I didn't think it would flow, but it all flows um, on that. Interested to see where they're going from here. You've got Meadow branching out, even though she's not that far away from home, she is away from home.
Right.
Which changes, knowing this, having gone through it in my life, AJ, because you had this dynamic, and now that dynamic has changed because now you're the only real kid in the house. The interplay between Carmella and Tony is going to change, and Tony's got a couple of things looming over his head now as we go into season 3. I mean, this stuff has not gone away just because you got rid of Big Pussy, because his troubles really kind of started right after he gets rid of Big Pussy. Even though he's in a position where he couldn't do anything else. But I'm also thankful I'm getting now towards the end of the stuff that either has been ruined for me or I knew from the start.
Awesome.
Like I said, I had never seen it and knew that Big Pussy got whacked just because living next to my neighbors who had talked about it, but got informed of how just by someone saying something that comes up in season 3. So I'll be interested when that comes, and when that happens, I'll let you know and we can discuss it then. But looking forward to it. Thank you as always, man. Before we go ahead and plug any and everything that you've got.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Joey, as always, man, thank you for letting me be with you, brother. Folks watching, thank you all for enjoying this ride with us. If you want to hear more from me, I can be found on Spotify with the Yeah I'm Hybrid podcast. Just released an episode today called What? Jesus Ain't Got Hands. So enjoy that if my humor is something that you're into. Also, if you have iTunes, you can hear me on the Tokyo Smoke Show. I've released episode 2 of my 6-part revival. And yeah, more nonsense on the way. Y'all need to like and subscribe and share it with your friends and tell them to subscribe too, because me and this guy got some shenanigans planned. All right, so y'all just gotta give us the like so we can do what we gotta do. Don't make me come through the screen. I'm threatening.
I'm gonna quote you. Big time facts.
Big time facts. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely, man. And thank everybody. We have jumped up some subscribers. Still trying to head towards that 100 subscriber goal and beyond. I've been doing some big things and planning some big things. You can get episodes of the Joey Harris Show every Sunday wherever you listen to your podcast. Plus, I just learned how to do this yesterday as we were recording this. I am starting to upload them onto YouTube. So you will be able to get those episodes right here on this channel.
Hey.
Now, they will not all be thrown up there at once. Right now, I've just got the trailer up there, but it gives you a little soup song of what.
All right.
And some clips of me and this guy right here. I would also found out how to do that and threw one of those up on Facebook last week. So you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok at the Joey Harris. Made it easy for you. You want to email me? That's a little different. That's joeyharriscomedy@gmail.com, but you still get me. Any way you want to get me, you get me. And if you are into pro wrestling, I do a wrestling podcast every Thursday. Those episodes come out, the Couple Joe Wrestling Show, wherever you get your fine podcasts or wherever you steal them. I'm not here to judge. But they're free for the taking. You don't have to steal them. You just listen to them. Stream, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play.
If stealing it makes you feel good, like you're a part of the family, tell yourself that you're stealing it. I don't want to take that away from them, Joey. Let's let them think they're stealing it so they'll keep listening.
Then later on, if you're feeling guilty, you can drop me $1 at B. Joey Harris on Cash App.
There you go.
Just send me a little tip, and I will take it. Or if you're a secret millionaire, you can send me $1 million. I promise I won't tell anybody your secrets.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I'll do some strange things for $1 million, bro. I think that you and I should get to writing. We need to put together some comedy shit. Let's get these folks to pay us to come out to these colleges and let's perform comedy together. I'm not as funny as you because you're a professional stand-up comedian. I am a professional sit-down observer. So your stand-up comedy with my sit-down observations, I think we might be okay.
You might be onto something there. And if we have to call ourselves something different, that's when somebody I heard one time, this is not mine. I forgot who says it, but I endorse it. So it's not mine, but I did hear it and I agree with it. I don't have hobbies. Hobbies cost money. I have interests.
There you go.
I'm interested in something, but if it costs money, I don't have it as a hobby. I have it as an interest.
Can't afford it.
Because I went out, real quick story, then I'll let you go, everybody, because we've been going at this for an hour and a half, and that's a long time for an episode, but whatever, it is what it is. Went out for breakfast one time with a group of guys, and one of them is, his interest is in mini cannons, miniature cannons. Right. Instead of cannonballs, it shoots golf balls. And I'm like, okay. I will not always be at the job I'm currently at because they would frown on something like that if I were to do it now. I said, but in the future, who knows? I might be interested in that. Then I looked up how much it costs. And I will not be doing that in the future. Not at this time. But again, if you're a secret millionaire at the Joey Harris on Cash App, drop me a couple mil, and TJ and I will do this show just for you. I will send you the link privately, and you can do what you want to with that.
Fuck, bro, they send you $1 million. We'll tape an episode of this in their living room, and I'll do it in my best. I'll do it in my best Winnie the Pooh outfit if they're gonna pay us money. I mean, come on.
I said that this is going to be the last. This is going to be the last thing. I'm thinking about doing a Patreon for my wrestling podcast, and I wanted to have one tier that's $10,000 a month. You send it, you get everything but if you do that for 6 months, whoever does that, myself, and my wife will then be on the front row of next year's WrestleMania. We will all go. And my wife is like, I'm not going. Excuse me. Somebody gives us $60,000.
Oh, you going?
We're going. We're going.
Oh, you going?
We're going to be right up on camera right next to me.
Holding the sign. Hit me with the chair.
Holding the sign. Here we are.
Let's go, Ultimate Warrior. He's dead. What?
He's dead. What? He's been dead 9 years.
That's how you know she's not a fan.
Her next time would be saying, I don't even know who the Ultimate Warrior is.
Seriously, right? Like, I'm just yelling out names. Coco Beware. What? What?
I don't think he's coming.
I don't think he's coming. Like, I want to see Superfly Jimmy snuck off the top rope. You're not going to see that either.
He's dead. Don't say that. The difference between you and my wife, if it happens, she's not going. You're like, they give us $1 million. We'll come to their house and record an episode.
Big time facts, bro. Look, Joe, you know from the first time you had a situation where you needed a seal or a poly, you said, somebody messed with my car. I said, who do we need to go handle? Like,
big time facts. If you want to talk big time facts, that's exactly what happened.
So you got to understand, man, like, I am down for the gusto, bro. So if something needs to be, and I'm not a talker. Once you point them out, I'm handling business, but in that same respect, I don't need to get violent with somebody. You say, all right, TJ, somebody just gave us a lot of money. I need you to show them your asshole. And I'm right there. Cashing them checks.
You need me to spread my cheeks? Or are you just going to get real close? I'm fine either way.
I'm sitting there counting them dollar bills the whole time. Whew. I got integrity.
Too much fun.
For this percent.
We know what we are now. We're just haggling over the price.
That's it. We're all prostitutes.
Because after a while, they're like, I'd never take that money. You could do a lot of good with $1 million. You don't have to keep it. You don't have to keep it.
No, you want to be charitable. You can be a philanthropist. That's perfectly fine. I choose to make sure that everybody around me is taken care of. And if you want to pay me to be funny, then I'm gonna try and be the funniest son bitch you ever met in your life. That's what I'm here for.
What would you do if they gave you $1 million? I'd do this until the money ran out, and then I'd probably keep doing it because
Bro, you pay me $1 million. I'm working for myself, and that is going to consist of me and you traveling as much as we can. I've never seen a tandem stand-up crew, but I will work on my skills so that I will be worthy to stand on that stage next to your stinking ass, bro. I would work on it, man. I'm honing my skills.
And then, like I said last time, we were not going to get into it. This is not the avenue, but I don't think they would rush us and slap us. I wouldn't think so. You know,
No,
somebody
not
gonna always try something.
Well, for one, there's two of us. So if you
This
were
is
the one
true.
that made
This
the
is true.
joke and someone tried to rush and slap you, they have to worry about me. Like I'm making it known, like, we are each other's back. So nobody's coming at you, man. Nobody's gonna try and knock them glasses off. Y'all have a phenomenal night because we can keep on talking. Me and Joey
We
just
could.
friends.
We could. I've got to go make dinner because I promised my wife
And
that I would make dinner. So
and I gotta use the restroom, man. Y'all hit that subscribe button below.
hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment, share it with your friends, reminisce with people you don't know.
And if you're wondering, yes, it is true. I pee in the sink.
Who among us? Who among us, right? If I had a nickel for every time I've heard that in my life. So, good night, folks. Have a good one.